Hey everyone, this is Zypher here, welcome back or welcome to my channel. So in today's video we're going to be taking a look at all of the changes in the 8.2.0 update in Dead by Daylight. So it's only been 2 weeks since I covered 8.1.0 and I still have like two shorts to cover as well, and we've got 8.3.0 coming up very shortly. So yeah, there's a lot I've got to kind of cover. I do tend to cover these videos more retrospectively, meaning I'm kind of reviewing them rather than particularly trying to update you guys, because I know a lot of you will already know these changes because these do affect the game going forward until another one comes along and changes any of them. But anyway, enough waffling, let's get into it. So of course, first and foremost, we got the new killer, we got the new survivor, all the great perks we got with that chapter as well. I don't need to go over that. If you haven't seen my video, by the way, covering the new Castlevania chapter, be sure to check out my video. I'll leave a time card at the top of the video if you want to go check that out and then come back to me. But also, quick little plug, I hate to do this, but be sure to check out my last video. It didn't do so well in terms of views. I don't know if that's just me switching the thumbnails a bunch of times or if it's just the algorithm doing its thing, but my lights out video, if you're interested, be sure to check that out as well. Let's get into the first set of changes. So for killer updates, first and foremost, for the doctor, they did some changes to his base kit. So for static blast, the cooldown is now dynamic apparently. So if no survivor was caught in the static blast, the cooldown will be 30 seconds. This is a new function that didn't exist before. And if at least one survivor was caught in the static blast, the cooldown will be 45 seconds now, which was 60 seconds before. So I'm going to assume here, because I'm not really a big doctor fanatic, really. I don't really play him much. I find him quite lazy and boring of a killer. But if I'm going to make an educated guess, I'm going to assume that before the 60-second cooldown applied both to when a survivor was detected and if no survivor was detected. So it was just a general thing, whilst now it changes the cooldown based on the outcome of, the static blast, which is nice, I think that's cool. Now, I don't know if they still have the 60-second cooldown in place, but just for if more survivors are detected, I'd assume maybe like 2 or 3 and upwards, maybe it might last for 60. I don't know. It doesn't specify here, but nonetheless, that sounds like a pretty good change to me. And they've increased the movement speed while charging static blast to 2.99 meters per second, which was 1.16 meters per second before, which is great. I think the movement speed before was pretty damn slow, and understandably, I mean, the static blast is like the main thing. So of course, if you're using that power, you're not going to want that tremendous slowdown. So I'm kind of happy, I guess, that at least for the doctor players, like I say, I don't play him, but I'm kind of happy that he got that minor speed increase there. That's great. Moving on to his add-ons. For the Order Class 2, it now decreases static blast cooldown by 2.5 seconds, which was 4 seconds before. So yeah, that got nerfed. For the Order Carter's Note, the second add-on here, they've decreased the static blast cooldown to 3 seconds, which was 6. So yeah, essentially all they've done there is just balanced out the add-ons to make up for the base kit changes. Moving on to the Dredge. They've done quite a few changes here for his base kit. So they decreased the volume of the Dredge's audio. They've increased the movement speed while charging Rain of Darkness to 3.8 meters per second, which was 3.68 meters per second before. So we got a slight buff there. That's nice. They also decreased the daytime cooldown to 10 seconds, which was 12 seconds before. They've increased the daytime teleport speed to 19 meters per second, which was 12 meters per second. Okay, damn. They gave that quite a buff there. That's nice. And they've decreased the time to exit lockers to 2.25 seconds from 3, which it was before. And finally, they've increased the night charges per injured survivor to 1 charge per second, which was 0.75 charges per second. So he's quieter, he's quicker, and his power charges up faster. So I don't know, man, that's kind of spooky. But yeah, the Dredge is apparently more powerful than before. There's a lot of changes they've done there, I can see, to like speeds and I guess cooldowns and stuff, which that's nice. I don't play the Dredge a whole lot, but those are obviously good changes. Then for his add-ons, for the boat key, it increases teleport speed during daytime by 3 meters per second, which was 5 before. So we got a slight nerf there, which is fine because again, the teleport speed was increased during the daytime, so you don't need to make up for it in add-ons now, which is obviously fair. And then for Hades' calendar, it decreases the time to exit a locked locker by 0.4 seconds, which was 1 second before. For the Malthinker's skull, it increases the charges gained per injured survivor by 25%, which was 66%. And then for the Ottomarian writing, it decreases the cooldown time of the gloaming by -2 seconds during daytime, which was -4 seconds before. I don't actually think there are any changes to the gloaming in the base kit. I believe that's when you leave a remnant, right, that you can teleport back to. Yeah, I can't really complain with any of those changes. Those are all very good. Seems relatively balanced to me. But again, let me know your thoughts if you think differently. Anyway, moving on to the Nemesis for his base kit. They've decreased the mutation rate 2 requirement to 5 contamination exclamation points from 6, which it was before. They've increased the hinded penalty duration from tentacle hits to 2 seconds, which was 0.25 seconds before. Nothing crazy. I mean, 2 seconds can be quite detrimental, just depending on the timing of everything, obviously, and the hinded duration is like 20% or something like that. So in that time, you could actually injure that survivor or down them potentially. I don't really pay too much attention to these like specifics and stuff when I'm playing, but I don't know, maybe I should hop on and play Nemesis, kind of check out some of these changes, see if I notice them. For his tentacle strike, they have increased the tentacle strike length in mutation rate 3 to 6.5 meters, which was 6 before. I guess there's a bit more incentive now to level up your mutation rate. Now, I do believe before you can start breaking parts of what, like mutation rate 2, if I'm not wrong. From what I remember, the difference between 2 and 3 wasn't huge. Maybe I'm wrong there. I don't play the Nemesis a whole lot, but I mean, something that's quite common is when I'm trying to like whip someone with the tentacle at a window, right? A lot of the time they can just duck or just pull off some kind of maneuver and I'll end up missing. So I guess there are cases where that extra 0.5 meters could be quite useful. It really depends. I can't really tell right now just from reading it. But finally, for his base kit, they've decreased the tentacle strike successful cooldown to 2.25 seconds from 2.5 seconds that it was before. So I believe that's referring to when you've actually landed a strike on a survivor, the cooldown is quicker. So it's basically just incentivizing you to hit your shots better, you know, just like actually be better with your aim and everything. But yeah, that's good. Can't really complain with any of that. As for his add-ons, with the liquor tongue, the survivors are hinded for an extra 3 seconds after being contaminated, which was 0.2 seconds before. Holy shit. So not only will they get a 2-second hinder penalty when they get hit in general by a tentacle hit, but I'm going to assume that stacks right with this add-on. So if you put on this add-on, they're going to get, what, hinded for 5 seconds by 20%? Now, I don't know if 20% is really a huge amount. Like I say, I'm not good with specifics. 5 seconds, though, with that add-on, they're hit once, they're contaminated. So this is going to obviously incentivize Nemesis to use his tentacle a lot more. Not that it was useless before, obviously, but, you know, it's just a nice little incentive there. And then for Marvin's Blood, you gain an extra 0.5 mutation for infecting a survivor, which was 0.75 before. So that was slightly nerfed, but considering they decreased the mutation rate requirement at mutation rate 2, this is pretty fair in my opinion. So that's all for the Nemesis. Moving on to the Knight. For his base kit, the Knight can summon a guard at any time, despawning any guard that was deployed, which is a new functionality. So that's nice. You can just place down one when you need to, and it will just get rid of the older one. Again, I don't really play the Knight, and this doesn't affect me whatsoever, but I feel like it's nice now that they're adding more flexibility around his power. And obviously now as well, with the previous update, you can obviously cycle through them too. So I feel like it's nice that you can cycle through the guards now, and you can also place them at a much quicker rate or a specific task, because when you're moving around the map, you're going to find different things to do very quickly. You might want to kick a gen 1 minute, then you might want to suddenly use it to chase somebody, and it's nice now that you can kind of do that with a bit more fluidity, I guess, for lack of a better word. And each guard has a unique cooldown that starts after they have despawned. This is also a new functionality. So the Assassins is 30 seconds, the Carnifex is 20 seconds, and then for the Jailer, it's 25 seconds. So assuming that you're going to use the Carnifex probably the most for breaking pallets, kicking gens, it obviously makes sense that the cooldown will be shorter for this one. The Jailer, he's just better at detecting, which is why he comes second, and I guess the Assassin has the longest despawn cooldown because he's the most useful, obviously for using in chases and stuff, or hunts as they're called. So what it sounds like is you take a bit less of a kick in the teeth, you know, for cancelling a task if you're using the Carnifex because he's needed more often, whilst with the Assassin, you're going to want to let him finish the actual task rather than just like cancelling it out of nowhere. So that makes sense. And obviously now they do have cooldowns that apply for each guard because the guards are all treated separately and they don't have to be, you know, used in a cycle. They can be used at any time and you can just pick whichever one you want at any point. And despawning a patrolling guard by hitting them with a basic attack decreases the cooldown to 10 seconds, which is also a new functionality. With all of those killers, to be honest, except for maybe the Dredge, maybe Nemesis, like the Doctor and the Knight, I don't really care for either of those killers. I never play them these days, but let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on those changes. Moving on now to Survivor Perk updates. So for Blast Mine, it activates after completing a total of 40% worth of repair progress on generators, which was 50% before. So that's nice. You know, we've got a 10% decrease there on the requirement. That's a nice little buff there. I don't really use Blast Mine, but it's a good change in my opinion. 50% makes the most sense, right? If you're looking at it, generally speaking, you're looking at half of a generator, so 40 is a bit random, but I do think for before, it felt a lot longer trying to charge up the perk, so it's nice that they've at least knocked 10% off of it, I guess. I feel like if you go any lower than that, then it feels a bit too easy to unlock, especially because it can just be done repeatedly the entire game, depending on how many gens you do, so that's fair in my opinion. For Chemical Trap, it now activates after completing a total of 20% worth of repair progress on generators, which was 50% before, so that also got a gen requirement decrease there, which is nice, and it stays active for 40, 50, and 60 seconds, depending on rarity, which was 100, 110, and 120 seconds before. They slightly buffed it, but then they majorly nerfed it as well. So you can unlock it a lot quicker now, but it doesn't stay active as long. So you can get more use out of it. I guess you can unlock it more rather than before, where it would last longer, but it would take longer. That's understandable, you know, it's not going to last as long if it's easier to get. For Dance With Me, they've decreased the cooldown to 30, 25, and 20 seconds, which was 60, 50, and 40 seconds before. I don't even remember which perk Dance With Me is. I just like a good cooldown change. Moving on to Deception, they've decreased the cooldown to 30, 25, and 20 seconds, which was 60, 50, and 40 seconds before. Considering you're just running past a locker and just making it open temporarily as a trick, I think it's nice that now you don't have to wait as long, you know, you can get more value out of it. Let's face it, most of the time the killer doesn't even really fall for that trick unless they're a newcomer or they're just relatively unexperienced, right? I guess the two kind of go hand in hand, but for Diversion, it activates after being in the killer's terror radius while not in a chase for 30, 25, and 20 seconds, which was 40, 35, and 30 seconds before. Again, you can just unlock that perk a bit quicker, and since you're just throwing a stone, it's literally just another trick tactic, a bit like the Deception perk. So I guess what they're doing is just giving survivors a bit more use out of these tomfoolery perks, you know, just goofing around, trying to confuse the killer a little bit, maybe throw him off guard. Then for Flashbang, it activates after completing a total of 50, 45, and 40% worth of repair progress on generators, which was 70, 60, and 50% before. So again, this is kind of the same with what they did with Blast Mine and Chemical Trap. The repair completion requirement has been decreased, so that's obviously good. It means you can get more grenades out of lockers more often. For Mirrored Illusion, it activates after completing a total of 20% worth of repair progress on generators, which was 50% before. For Wiretap, finally, it activates after completing a total of 40% worth of repair progress on generators, which was 50% before. I do know that this is the perk for Ada, but I do not remember what this perk does. Oh shit, I do not remember. So I'm not even going to pretend to. We're just going to move on. For general gameplay updates, they've increased the hook stage drain timer to 70 seconds, which was 60 seconds before. It just refers to the amount of time that you spend on the hook before you reach the next stage, so can't complain with that at all. That's obviously good. Moving on to map updates, it says Castle Vista. Dracula's castle will spawn in the Sky of Dead by Daylight original maps when playing against Dracula. I already knew this. I don't know why I'm even reading that out. We're just going to pass over that and move on to the next thing because you already know that. I mentioned that in my video at the time. The Midwich Elementary School also benefited from a gameplay pass. The school has been revisited to find a better combination of obstacles and reduce the long line of sight of the school corridors. A pass on both the interior, the classrooms, and exterior tiles has also been done, updating the current gameplay and adding new exterior tiles for variation. Now, the last time I checked, there's some okay changes here. Now, the ones in the halls, I think it's fair that they want to throw some obstacles in there, you know, just kind of change up the line of sight, right, so the killer can't see all the way down the hallway, because before that would give you a lot of intel, although I like having more intel, obviously, as more of a killer main. Yeah, as for the classrooms, though, they're a bit hit and miss. There's some I've noticed where you can actually loot them pretty good if the killer is a little less good at the game, but otherwise, the killer's just not going to fall for it. There was one that I remember which had just one locker and then a pallet and a table, right? I feel like it's such a short loop on one side compared to the other. As for the courtyard, I haven't really seen the loops there. I don't know if those are any good or not, but at least for the ones in the inside of the map, I don't really care for them too much. That's just from my experience, though. Maybe I need to play a bit more and just test out some more of the changes maybe that they might have added. Anyway, moving on. I don't even need to read the events and archives. You guys already know about Lights Out. I already made a video on that. Again, check out my last video if you haven't already. But yeah, moving on to features. For graphics options, they did add the support for Intel XeSS for PC. I do actually have this graphics option equipped myself because my PC isn't the most high-end thing on the market. It's not the greatest fucking PC I could have, like, you know, top-notch Alienware shit. So I can't run high graphics, you know, ultra high and everything. But Intel, I have to say, running this, like, graphics option has definitely helped the performance with my PC a lot more. and at least keeping the game at a good quality without it looking like garbage. So I think this is a nice change. I'm kind of happy they've added that. As somebody especially who is very new to PC and PC Dead by Daylight, that's obviously great. Moving on to live data reboots. As part of their live operations, they've occasionally deployed updates to the game without needing an update of the game application itself. These updates include kill switches and new cosmetics, among other data. Starting from this release, when a critical data update is required to be downloaded by the game, you may see a pop-up asking you to return to the splash screen. So this just means that they can, add some small tweaks and changes in there that aren't too game-changing. They can just do that with ease, and all you'll have to do is back out to the splash screen and then reload in again. That's convenient. There's nothing wrong with that, of course. So moving on to UX changes or user experience. For gameplay, add-ons are now shown to the left side of items and killer powers. I have obviously noticed this. This is pretty helpful, obviously. And the Dark Lord's killer power on the UI displays main power and new smaller icons to surface mechanics and cooldowns, because obviously there are specifics requiring to each form that he can switch into, so this makes sense. I'm going to assume this doesn't apply for the other killers, because, I mean, there aren't any other killers that can shapeshift. So for lobby controller compatible navigation, players can now toggle rotation mode to use the R stick to rotate the character's preview as in the store, so they don't need to press A on top and use the joystick. This was a small change for Xbox players. I mean, I never noticed that, to be honest, but whatever. For the lobby, characters' default ordering has been changed to show owned characters sorted by release date, and then unowned sorted to show the latest characters first. So if you don't have the latest killer, that one will be put before the older ones. Don't really care for that, to be honest. And then entering the cosmetics section shows the outfits category by default instead of head. And then for settings menu, disabled options are now grayed out instead of having a black/transparent background. So yeah, just a slight visual change there. And then for miscellaneous, finally, because I don't read the bug fixes, you guys know this, the prestige levels of other players is no longer visible within an online lobby post matchmaking, and they've upgraded the easy anti-cheat to the new version on PC only. Now, as somebody who plays PC, I really wish the anti-cheat didn't automatically detect a controller as a reason to kick you back out of the game. That really annoys me, because if I've just come onto the game, right, I've loaded on using a mouse and keyboard, I don't want to have to make it a priority every time I load on to like put my controller on and connect that and everything before I come onto the game, because once I've gone past the splash screen and I get onto the game, it kicks me out of lobbies sometimes it kicks me out of games, and it'll say, oh, the anti-cheat detected something, when it's just me plugging in my controller. So that's really annoying. Otherwise, that's nice that they've updated that. As for hiding the prestige levels, I don't really see why that was needed. I don't know why. I mean, maybe some people during a game might back out of a lobby, right? They might lobby dodge depending on the prestige level. They might think, oh, that person's like a certain level, and they might hold some kind of bias against them. I don't know, maybe thinking that they're going to be too sweaty to go up against, or I don't know. I really don't know what the point of that was, to be honest, but fair enough, I guess. Those are all the changes, guys. Let me know down in the comments what you all think. I think for killer changes, it's fair to say that most of those were really good. I think the changes that they did for survivor perks were also great. Can't complain with those at all. We've got some good updates to just the general gameplay and the features they've added. As for the map update to Midwich, the slight tweaks here and there, those are really long hallways and there's a whole lot of nothing going on there. So I guess it's understandable that they wanted to fill the space a bit more, add a bit more variety. If you enjoyed this video and if it was helpful in any way, shape or form, I don't know at this point, then be sure to smash the like button down below to let me know. Really helps the video out in the algorithm. Also, if you haven't done so already, be sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on post notifications so you never miss a single video I post. And with all that being said, thank you all so much for watching, and I shall catch you all in the next one. Goodbye.